5, 4, 3, 2,
Manchester
1,
United have
0.
reached the promised land.
Yes. Good morning, everybody. Let's get the Star Wars pun out the way. May the Fourth be with you and all that jazz that's going around Twitter. Although I'm not really a big Star Wars fan. Don't shoot me. I'm a big United fan, and hopefully things can get better in the future. Let's talk about it. I keep saying it, but every single day, there really is so much to talk about at the club at the moment. It really is quite insane. We are here to talk about the latest article from the Telegraph from Jason Burt and the idea that Erik Ten Hag has got 8 players that he feels he can trust and build this new Manchester United team around from inside this current squad. We're going to run through the article from Jason Burt and discuss here in the comments, as we always do, who those 8 players could be. We're going to be speaking about transfers. David Ornstein on transfers. David Ornstein on Cristiano Ronaldo staying. We're going to be hearing from the BBC on Wan Bissaka and Crystal Palace. Daily Mail from Declan Rice and West Ham. Jeez. Loads to talk about this morning. Who's down here in the comments? Sam, I can see you on YouTube. Sean, good morning to you. T, I can see you there. Nick, I can see you. Jibak, good morning. United Forever. Paul Swift, Jason, Stefan, could see you there. Joda. Hey, plenty of you down in the comments here this morning. And Grant Napier, apologise if I missed anybody. And Sashi watching from the whole way from Japan. Always put a smile on my face, seeing everybody from around the world. And Josh, I can see you there. Don't worry, mate. I'm not missing you. TL watching from Jamaica at 3:30 in the morning. Now, that's commitment. I don't know why you're doing that. Get to bed. Seriously. You're going to enjoy yourself more there. But before I do start, you know what I'm going to say. I've already pinned the comment here on YouTube, and I'll leave a comment here on Facebook. We have got episode 2 of the podcast has been launched. Is that the right way to describe it? I don't know if that's the right way to describe it. But I'm going to pop the link in the comments here. There's a competition. I told you that I've got this. I've got this to give away. No, not just a cardboard tube. I've got another one of these posters, right? I've got another one of these Erik Ten Hag posters worth 50 quid to give away to somebody. All you've got to do is help the podcast. And all I'll ask you is to go over here, the link you follow there, you click follow, you go down there and you click that one there. Go to the Apple store and give the podcast a 5-star review. I apologize if you don't have an Apple account, but the only reason I'm choosing Apple as the place where you have to leave that review is because it's the only place where your name gets left next to your review. If you leave a 5-star rating on Spotify, it's just a number. It doesn't tell me who left that, so I can't actually give anybody the poster. So if you can, it will really help the podcast. It's a second episode. It's me, Alex, and Neil from the first podcast episode, and Bowers joined in, who will be a regular on the podcast. We spoke about Brentford, Chelsea. We went in depth talking about Jesse Lingard, the culture of entitlement. I really think it's a very good podcast. Genuinely, it's good conversation, and also has probably the best outro we're ever going to have on any podcast episode. So if you can, please go over, follow that link on Facebook or YouTube, go and drop a 5-star review on the podcast. It really will help the United People's podcast in its early stages in showing Apple and Spotify and Amazon that, you know what, it's actually a decent podcast. So thank you very much. There's been so many people who have messaged me on Instagram, Twitter, slid into the DMs and said, look, I've enjoyed the episode. If you are listening to it, just drop me a DM. It does put a smile on my face so that everybody, to know that people are enjoying it. As I said, I don't just do content for the sake of doing content. I try to do content that I feel adds to people's lives a little bit of insight, a little bit of information. The show here, it's all about the community. And that podcast there, I think it's quite decent. Let me stop waffling on. But good morning to everybody, one and all, subscribers, members, everybody, YouTube, Facebook, and everybody new in town. Welcome to United People's TV. Let's talk about the main headline here from today. And that is from this article here from Jason Burt from the Telegraph. How Erik Ten Hag plans to revive Manchester United. Now, we'll run into the details of it. There's lots of talking points from it. And the main talking point is the headline of this video. If there's 8 players inside this Manchester United squad, that Erik Ten Hag can trust, who would those 8 players be? We're going to run through and you're going to let me know. But let's run through and let's read out what Jason Burt is saying in terms of how does Erik Ten Hag plan to revive United. Let's scroll down. Erik Ten Hag will attempt to revitalise the flagging career of Harry Maguire, despite also planning a huge overhaul of the Manchester United squad this summer. The incoming manager will target at least 3 key signings during the forthcoming transfer window with an acceptance that it is impossible to carry out all of the changes that are needed immediately. Interim manager Ralph Rangnick has talked about 6, 7, 8, maybe 10 new players being needed this summer. And Ten Hag is believed to have agreed with that, although it is clearly unlikely it can be achieved in one window. Now, how many signings do you actually think we're going to make? For the life of me, I don't think that Ralph Rangnick was saying we're going to get 10 signings in one window. For me, it sounded like Ten Hag was suggesting that 10 players were needed for this overall rebuild. I don't think he ever sort of insinuated it would happen in one window, because it's basically unreasonable. How many do you actually think could happen? And of course, we're going to be speaking about the idea there of Harry Maguire staying at the club. So let me know what you think about that in the comments. Vitterbird, I can see you there saying you're putting Vitter to sleep. No one likes to see a kitten go. A kitten? Oh man, that's sad. That's sad. I hope you're all right. I mean, you won't be, but that is sad. Josh, why weren't you a member before? You're sacked. You're not, Josh. You're not sacked. Nice to see you there this morning. But look, realistically says, Ant, you think 4. Jake, you think it's going to be 5. Stefan, I think we'll make 4 signings. At most, we'll do 2, says Sam. 4 bought and 4 promoted. English journalists always in need of saving Maguire. I don't think it's necessarily English journalists in need of saving Maguire. I think it's the fact that Maguire cost £80 million, and the logic tells you he's probably not going to be the first out the door. I've kind of gone all out on Maguire now. I really have. I've not really done it. I think it's because Maguire's captain. I think if Maguire wasn't captain, I wouldn't have gone in so harsh on him. I still feel like I've reserved my opinion. I tried to stay moderate, and it just got worse and worse and worse and worse, and to the point where I was like, I'm just done and dusted with it. But in terms of how much United are going to spend this summer, right, this is a good chart, and I've said this before, right? I said that if Louis van Gaal was given like 160 odd million pounds, then Erik Ten Hag needs at least that. But this is a comparison here in the Telegraph in terms of how much each manager got in their first window at the club. Let me zoom out so you can see it properly. So here's the comparison. You can see that David Moyes was given 30 million, spent 27 million on Fellaini. What an absolute idiot that was. Louis van Gaal, 160 million. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 signings. Wow. Mourinho, 145 million with 3 signings. And Solskjaer, 143 million with 3 signings. Sold, probably being sold. Probably going to get sold. Leaving on a free. Going to be sold. Left the club. Not at the club. No. It's bad, isn't it? I suppose it's 6 years ago. There was a super chat someone sent in there. Let me read that out before I move on. Harish, could you make the podcast available on Google Podcasts as well? Harish, it will be available on Google Podcasts. That's not something I can actually choose to do. At some point, Google will just add it to Google. Google doesn't allow you to submit anything. They just take it when it's good. And again, that's a big reason why adding all the 5-star reviews will help the podcast in its early stages, because it will show Google, said, oh, actually, no, it's a decent podcast. So I apologize if it's not on Google at the moment, but it will be there for all the Android users. Don't forget the market. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The market has drastically changed. So it should 200 million might sound like a pipe dream figure that United fans have got in their head. But when you take a look into history, context, circumstances, and context, 200 million sounds completely reasonable. Now, maybe you can add in the fact that it's post-Corona and that's still negatively affecting the club's ability to spend. But this will be a summer where we save so much on wages. I mean, that doesn't technically affect the cash expenditure, but we should be able to get, I reckon, if United do well in terms of player sales this summer, we should be getting between 40 and 60 million. And that's from the likes of Pereira, Martial, Phil Jones. Depending on what goes on, you could probably add Eric Bailly to that list as well. It's going to be a significant... I mean, the summer's always busy, right? The summer is always busy. But I imagine it's going to be a bit crazy this summer. It really will be crazy. At least 5 departures, hopefully 7 to 8 departures. And realistically, we all kind of want 4 signings, maybe 5 signings. 13 different transfers in and out of the club in one summer. Wow, we were. That's a lot. And you're saying, I think I could see Ten Hag getting 200 million, but we still cannot guarantee the Glazers won't use that for Rice and Kane. More likely, it will be 3 players and a free like Kamara. I need to take another look at the free transfer list, because as far as I remember last time, there wasn't really too much that stood out Obviously, Frank Kessie he's already agreed to. Is it Barcelona he's going to? Oh, I think it's Barcelona. Well, he's not coming to Manchester United, that's for sure. I don't know if there's any other midfielders that are really on that list. But let's go and let's read a bit more from this article from Jason Burt. Nevertheless, with so many players out of contract, there is an opportunity to accelerate the remolding of the underperforming and discontented squad. Although Ten Hag will also set himself the task of finding out why a team that finished second in the Premier League last season has suffered such a dramatic collapse. Now, we've spoken about this before. It just makes you just like sit there and just kind of scratch the back of your head going, how did that happen? How did we genuinely go from finishing second, signing Ronaldo, Sancho and Varane, going into the season thinking we're one midfielder short of a title push, to this? I mean, the collapse has been spectacular. Absolutely spectacular. It's what's made it 10 times worse. And I think that's why we've reached the point where everybody's just done with the squad. Absolutely done with the squad. One view is that United do not possess a squad of bad players, but a squad that has had a bad time. Although there is no question there will be a significant number of departures and signings. Maguire is not the only player Ten Hag is studying, with him also studying Marcus Rashford. This is an interesting point, right? You let me know what you think about this in the comments. I think this is a talking point in itself. And I will do a separate video on Marcus Rashford, and, as the summer progresses. Jason Burt from the Telegraph here saying this: there is a growing sense that Marcus Rashford and the club might actually benefit from him being sold. Now, you let me know what you think about that in the comments. We spoke about this in quite a bit of depth last night on the podcast, actually. And Marcus Rashford, for me, Marcus Rashford looks like one of those players that I think I would back Ten Hag to improve quite dramatically. I don't think you can say that about every single one of these United players in any way, shape or form. I think there's some that just look past the point of being helped, if you know what I mean. I don't think Marcus Rashford strikes me as one of those. But I'll let you know. I'll read a few of your comments out down here. And then I also want you to let me know in the comments, hypothetical situation, right? Marcus Rashford is 24. I think he's got 2 years left on his contract. If we sold Marcus Rashford this summer, how much is a reasonable price for Marcus Rashford in this current market? You let me know what you think about that, because I'll be interested to know what you say there. John, you're saying Rashford can't be sold, but Daz, you say Rashford is done. Both should go and make way for better players to come in. Let's go down here. Rashford is reaching his peak and has been bang average for the last 2 years. I would cash in and replace him. Sam, you're saying I do agree Rashford needs to find a new club. I agree Marcus Rashford should be sold. I honestly don't see Rashford coming back, says A. So that's quite a split comment section down here. And Salim, you're saying just sell him already. Well, the majority of you. T, you're saying you'll be sad to see him go. Needs to find form again, hopefully with us, but who knows? And Ant, you're saying, I feel Rashford has done enough to deserve one more season. Hell, we gave Martial 7 seasons, with 6 of them but no, it definitely wasn't 6 of them. His first one was great, and 19-20 are the 2 standout seasons for him. But I'll be interested to know. Let me read down here in the comments. What is the average price that you're all putting down here for Marcus Rashford? Jason, you're saying 50, 60. James, you're saying 55. 50 says Shady. 50, 60, 60, 80, 40. 50, 60, 40, 40, 35, 55. Me, absolutely minimum of 60. Minimum. Anything less than 60, it's outrageous business by United. We just sold Dan James for 25 million, people. This is Marcus Rashford. Right? Minimum 60, if not more. There was a comment there. Mark Fossey. Hi, Sam. Miss you, mate. I've not been on since Christmas. I lost my dog Tia just before Christmas. She was 15, a proper man. Can you give her a shout out, please? Give her a shout out to Tia. Sad to hear you lost there. And obviously Vitterbird as well, losing her kitten Vida. Sad day for cats and dogs all round. I don't mean that in a sort of condescending sort of way. But yeah, loads and loads and loads of comments here about Marcus Rashford and the price of it. I'll do a video on Rashford as the summer progresses. My gut instinct, Marcus Rashford shouldn't be on the sell list this summer. Maybe. No, it's not maybe, actually. If goes into the next season and then we don't see anything from Rashford, then yeah, he's got to be gone. but there's no way I would sell Rashford this summer. Not me personally, anyways. You're back. Can't sell Rashford. He needs better coaching. He's had 4 different coaches during his formative years. Not his fault that he hasn't sharpened specific skills. A really excellent comment there, Jivak. And it's actually quite a big conversation and the talking point that we had on the podcast last night. We were saying that he broke through when he was 18 under Louis van Gaal, and then that worked, and then he left, and then Jose Mourinho came in. He signed Zlatan on a free, and all of a sudden, Rashford wasn't the main man. He was the sidekick to Zlatan, and then he was the sidekick for a couple of years, in and out, up and down, left wing, right wing, centre forward, didn't have a position. Then Solskjaer came in and definitely got the best out of Marcus Rashford. And then he disappeared. He disappeared last season. This season still, sorry. I personally, there's a lot of players I would sell before I get rid of Marcus Rashford. I think he deserves certainly one more chance at United and hopefully a full pre-season, a season away from football. He's gone from football season to Euros to World Cups to in and out of constant football competitions. I think a couple of months off and a proper pre-season and a new manager with a coach who actually really coaches and improves players. I think a lot of people might be eating their words about Marcus Rashford next year. I hope so. I really, really hope so. But if he isn't, we definitely should be cashing in the season after. That's what I think anyway. I don't think he's going to be on the first exit list, if you know what I mean. There's players that will definitely be leaving this summer and players that I would like to be sold this summer. For me, personally, Marcus Rashford isn't one of them. But we will do a separate video on that. I just thought it was an interesting talking point to have. Struggles of Wan Bissaka, who cost up to 50 million, will also be reviewed by Ten Hag, who has already identified a core of roughly 8 players that he feels he can trust and build around. Right, ladies and gents, what we'll do now, this will be nice and interactive. You let me know in the comments what players you think genuinely can be trusted to be part of this new Ten Hag team and revolution. Because I'm going to pull up, this is a squad list from the official Manchester United website. And what I'm going to do is run through the 8 players. If there's going to be 8 players, I did it before I came live here. There's 8 players I think I would probably put on that list that he can trust going into the start of this season. I think De Gea is one of them. I still question whether David De Gea is going to be here in the long term, but going into next season, I think he can trust De Gea. Looking inside this defense, is there anybody he can trust? I personally would add Rafael Varane to that list. So I would say that genuinely, and I don't mean that to be harsh. Actually, I suppose I do want to be harsh. I don't think you can really trust any of the other defenders. Good in patches. I know Varane's been good in patches, but Varane's different gravy to the rest of those defenders. Brandon Williams a bit harsh to judge, but I can't really say anything about all those younger players. Going into the midfield, I think he can trust Fred. I think he can trust Bruno. And you might not like it, and you might not like him, but in terms of trusting a player, I think he could trust Scott McTominay. It's not to say that Scott McTominay will be somebody who's good enough, but he will definitely do what is asked of Ten Hag. And that's what we're talking about here. Players that he can trust. And of course, you know that he's going to be able to trust Donny van der Beek. In terms of strikers, I think he can trust Ronaldo. That's a given. I think he can trust Jadon Sancho. And I think he can trust Anthony Elanga. So how many is that for me? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's 9 players that I've chosen there. Let me go down to the comments here and see what you're saying. De Gea, Varane, Shaw, Bruno, Donny, Sancho, and Ronaldo. So the only one that you've got there that I haven't is Luke Shaw. Dean Henderson, Varane. I don't know. No, Dean Henderson is going to be leaving, I think, anyway. If he's not going to be if he's not going to be Manchester United's #1, then I don't think he's going to stay at Manchester United next season. Go down here. I have no idea who Voldemort is, by the way. By the way, sorry, Anuj. I know a lot of people ask for recaps. Recaps won't happen during a stream, right? If you're late, you're late. I can't, because everybody's been joining in, I can't just like stop it, go back to what I've already said for a minute and say that. I apologize, but if you join in late, you join in late. I always do a little recap at the end, but we can't do it during the screen. I don't think he included Donny in the 8. I mean, he might not have, but when you look at this list, there really are So many players that just, if we're being completely honest with ourselves, that you just can't trust. And when it comes to trust, it's not as if the sort of trust, it's the sort of trust that you feel that player will buy into what the manager wants them to do, will follow his instructions during training, will follow his instructions during the game, and won't just like sort of go off on his own tangent. I'm going to read some more of your list down here because it really is an interesting conversation here. Ice Cold Moe, De Gea, Bai, Varane, Shaw, Bruno, McTominay, Donny, Sancho. I mean, so the only one you got Bai there is what? No, I don't think you can trust Bai. Bai is too pissed off, man. It's like Dean Henderson. I don't think you can trust Dean Henderson because we force them into situations where they're not happy, right? Dean Henderson wanted to be number one this year. He's playing second fiddle. Erik Bai, he's been overlooked by 2 managers when it comes to being fit and other players playing when they're not fit. Lindelof and Maguire. And he's had to sit there and watch. Phil Jones against Liverpool. He's had to sit there and watch. I don't think you can trust Bai now because we force him into a situation where he is unhappy. Ronaldo, Sancho, Rashford, De Gea, Bruno, Scott, Elanga, and Van der Beek. I would say that if we're looking down here, the majority, you can add Lindelof to the list, says Salim. I think probably. You're probably right about Lindelof. Maybe I'm being slightly harsh. Maybe I'll give Lindelof one. You can probably add Lindelof to that list. But I don't really think, if I was to run through the rest of them, right? You can't trust Lee Grant because we still don't know what he is or what he does. I seriously have no idea why he's still at the club. Tom Heaton, Dean Henderson. I think Lee Grant will probably leave this summer. Tom Heaton will stay. Obviously, we're getting linked to Sam Johnston. I don't think you can trust any of them. Why would you be able to? Dean Henderson's too pissed off, and you just got 2 third-choice goalkeepers. Down here in defenders, Victor Lindelof, I think you're probably right. I think we could probably trust Lindelof. I don't think you can trust him because we pissed him off too much. Phil Jones, shouldn't be having a conversation about how Phil Jones fits into this United team. You need to have a conversation about how he needs to get out of this United team. And Harry Maguire has just shown this season that he quite simply cannot be trusted. Not at this particular moment in time. I think when it comes to Maguire, I've said my piece on Maguire, right? I would like him to be sold, but I think he's going to be in round 2 of the sales if he does go. I don't think he's going to go this summer. But I don't think he can be trusted either. Raphael Varane, I think you can absolutely trust him to, after a full preseason, getting completely fit, shaking his legs out. Not actually, just that's a bit weird thing to say, but the same thing as Rashford, not having an international tournament, resting, recuperating, new energy coming into a new season. I think Rafa Varane next year is going to be that Rolls-Royce defender that we wanted. I think you can trust him. Diogo Dalot, no, man, you can't trust him. Good, sometimes are good, and then sometimes are maybe shit. That's exactly what Dalot is. And Luke Shaw, I kind of want to put a half tick, but I don't really. Luke Shaw really lost himself last season, a bit like Maguire did, a bit like Rashford did, a bit like a lot of those English players did after the World Cup, after the Euros. Luke Shaw, I think, will probably prove himself to be a trusted player, but at this moment in time, he can't be. Alex Telles definitely can't be. Aaron Wan Bissaka definitely can't be. And there's not really much point in talking about Brandon Williams, Axel Tuanzebe, or Teden Mengi because they're all out on loan. So I can't really talk about how they're going to fit inside the club. Alvaro Fernandez, you can always trust the youngsters, but again, that's a bit of an assumption. Going down here, he won't be at the club. Goodbye, Pogba. He won't be at the club. Goodbye, Mata. He won't be at the club. Goodbye, Lingard. He shouldn't be at the club. Goodbye, Pereira. Ahmad, at this moment in time, you can't trust him. Still an absolutely raw potential. If you've watched him for Rangers, really his physicality, he's a boy. He plays like a boy, and he needs to up his levels massively if he's going to cope with this Premier League. But Ten Hag is a coach who improves young players. I wouldn't say I can trust him, but I think he will improve. Fred, you can trust. Fred will do the job, man. Right? Bruno, he will do the job. He needs to be coached a little bit better. Facundo Pellistri, I'm excited to see what he can do when he comes through. Matic won't be here. Donny van der Beek, of course he can trust him. He can probably trust, he will be able to trust Van der Beek subconsciously, instinctively, without thinking. Van der Beek will do what he needs to do for Ten Hag, without thinking. James Garner, I mean, I probably want to put a tick next to his name, actually. But again, that's a bit presumptuous. So I think maybe just take that one off. That's a little bit presumptuous there to put a tick on, but it strikes me as a tick. Scott, he definitely can. And Hannibal, I think he can as well. Sod that. I'm going to put a tick next to Hannibal's name. That's unfair on Hannibal. And we go down to the strikers. Ronaldo, of course, you can trust him. Martial, hopefully he's sold. Rashford, again, has proven he can't be trusted at the moment. We're not going to talk about Mason Greenwood until something develops. I don't think anything will develop. Edinson Cavani, goodbye. Jadon Sancho, you can trust. Ilanga, you can trust. And Chong, Garnacho, and Shola Shoretire. Let's see what goes on there. There's so many inside this squad that you just look at as a United fan. You go, you know what? I'm not actually sure whether I trust them. I really am not sure what players inside this squad I can really trust. And if Jason Burt is correct that there's 8 players inside this squad who can be trusted, I think it's interesting to. I think that it almost feels like with this might be worth a separate video. I might do a short video on this because I think it's a really interesting point. Who can he trust inside this squad? Who can Ten Hag look at and go, you know what? I can see those becoming my lieutenants. I can see those players really becoming sort of embodying me and my philosophy on the pitch. Talk about the potential replacement, says Pajir. I mean, the video will be about 9 hours long if you talk about that. We've got to separate them out a little bit. People aren't taking into consideration the jump in levels between the unders teams and the academy to the first team. I mean, it is absolutely sensationally huge. Should get his chance. Garner should get his chance next season. I was going to mention it later in the pod video. I'll mention it now. Unlucky for James Garner. Unlucky for Nottingham Forest. Lost 1-0 last night to an 83rd minute goal to Kiefer Moore as well. Bournemouth winning 1-0, sealing promotion. So that's Fulham and Bournemouth coming back up to the Premier League next year. And Garner could still get promotion with Nottingham Forest. It's going to have to be through the playoffs. So unlucky to him for that there. Because the playoffs are dangerous town. Look, before I quickly move on, I apologize if you think I'm spamming it. But as I said, I really am proud of launching the podcast because I think that the podcast is something where it's like, on YouTube, you might be enticed by a thumbnail or enticed by a title or enticed by something else apart from the content. A podcast is just purely about the quality of the conversation and the content. I think it's really, I liked it. Of course, I liked it. I was part of it. But as I said, we're doing a giveaway this week, giving away one of these Erik Ten Hag posters from Stan Chow. Thank you very much, Stan, for sending it in. All you got to do to enter that competition is go and leave a 5-star review on Apple. And the only reason I'm choosing Apple is because Apple leaves your name next to your review. So I can come back here next week and announce it. I can't see that on Spotify or anywhere else. So it really will be, it'll make a big difference. And it will mean a lot to me if you can leave that 5-star review. And he's saying, honest question, do you think Ten Hag has been told he must keep Maguire? If he was told he can keep Maguire, he would rip up his contract. There's no way that he's been told he has to do anything inside that squad. There's obviously going to be narratives and there's going to be agendas that get pushed. But if you think that Erik Ten Hag would have taken that job after being told he has to keep Harry Maguire, he would have laughed and thrown the contract back in the face of United, I think, anyway. Now, I spoke in depth yesterday on the Jesse Lingard situation. I did a separate video on it. It's a very... I said it in the video. It's a situation where United don't win. It's a situation where Lingard doesn't win. Like, it's just a whole bunch of losers. And last night on Twitter, Jesse Lingard posted this about 8 o'clock. Just a picture of him as a kid. And I tell you what, it really does leave a sour taste in your mouth, this whole Lingard situation. Because even if you think, and when this is completely fairly, right? Even if you think that Jesse Lingard hasn't been good enough for United, and he hasn't been, right? He's never been good enough to break through and be a first-team player for a long time. I don't know. I'm pissed off at the club and the treatment of a player who literally he spent 2 decades of his life with us, man. He's grown up in Manchester United. So it pisses me off the fact that he didn't get that send-off. But then at the same time, I'm also equally pissed off that he feels entitled to it. Like the club owes him something. And that annoys me equally as much from the opposite direction. So I'm kind of torn in between these things where, like, my human emotions towards Lingard, like, yeah, man, he deserved better. But at the same time, it's pulling me back saying, no, man, he's just... All these players think that they're worth more than they are to the club, and that their sense of self-importance is so heightened. It really is. It's a rock and a hard place, this situation. Ultimately, it's going to be an acrimonious departure from a player who's been with us for 20 plus years. And I don't think that's really a good look for Manchester United. But I also don't think it's really a good look for Jesse Lingard or his brother, a lot of what they've been doing over the last 2 years. Yeah, that's exactly why I've spoken about it before, right? This conversation that Pogba might still sign a new contract. And I'm like, are you mad? Are you crazy? I don't care if Pogba is better than most of our midfielders on paper. I don't care that he could turn into a great player under Erik Ten Hag. I just don't care. I want rid of it all. All of these niggles and all these little tiny conversations. And I'm done with it. I just want to move on as a club and sort of start fresh. Same thing goes with Jesse Lingard. Same thing goes with Paul Pogba. Same thing goes with Cavani, Mata, and Matic. There is no xenophobia here. There is no racism here. So I want what's best for Manchester United. And that involves getting rid of all of these and starting again. Let me go down here. And you're saying that's the risk with the current crop of youth. They fall into the trap of believing more than they are worth, even if they successfully break through. That's about good coaching, man. It's about understanding people. And again, it pains you to do it, but you can't help but do the constant Liverpool comparisons because, you know, Salah's the contract situation there. Money is ultimately at the core of the problems that United have. They've given too much money to people too young, and therefore they're like, well, why do we need to work for our next? We're already on like 100 fucking grand a week. I mean, I know I could earn more, but that's a lot of dough at like 19, 20 years old. Whereas you look at what Liverpool's top earners are on, I think, who is it? Is it Luke Shaw might earn more than Sadio might? It's something insane, absolutely insane. And it's crazy, man. It's crazy. It needs to change. It needs to change. Ray, how you doing, buddy? Thanks for your support for the channel. It's always appreciated, man. Jesse was just a squad player in reality. If he was a regular, he would have got a send-off. No, I kind of disagree with that. As I said, I do agree that it was kind of bad form for Ralph Rangnick to not give Lingard a send-off and give it to Cavani and Phil Jones. But at the same time, Rangnick has just known the club and the players for 6 months, and all Lingard has done during those 6 months has sort of undermined his role with the leaks. Scholes has confirmed that. So as far as Rangnick's relationship with Lingard is very different to what Manchester United's relationship with Lingard is. And Rangnick is our manager at the moment. So he chooses what players go in and out. It's unfortunate that those two things have happened at the same time. But Lingard can't be surprised that that was the way he dealt with it. And remember the whole Lingard coming out and basically calling Rangnick a liar. And then Rangnick had to come out and sort of apologize and say, oh, there's sort of mixed signals here, mixed communications. Again, that was a point where Lingard chose self-preservation of himself and tried to undermine his manager in public. He can't be surprised that he didn't get the send-off that he wanted. And it's weird. I said this yesterday in the video, and this is the last thing I'll say on it, right? Jesse Lingard, he's all good and well running the contract down to leave the club when he wants. But then he wants to leave the club how he wants to leave the club. He wants to send off. It's all on his terms. That's just not how it works, man. That's not how it works. It's on the football club's terms. You are an employee of that football club. And that football club, if they want to get rid of you, they will do it in their own way, shape, and form. And if you don't like it, you can be pissed off about it. But ultimately, you're just an employee. And players need to realize that. Clubs need to re-establish that hierarchy. That's been lost at United. Really, really lost. Let me go down here. Matt, you're saying Ralph owes these overpaid prima donnas nothing. Jesse needs to earn the right to a send-off for the fans. I think he's earned the right, as I said, he's earned the right for being here at 20 years, man. There is a loyalty that comes with that. But as I said, he can't be surprised at what Ralph Rangnick has done. I don't think so anyway. You might disagree with that. But look, let's move on here. And as I said, I touch on this. I hate to keep plugging it, but we really go in depth on this Lingard situation on the podcast. So give that a listen if you do want. There's a lot of good conversation there around it, right? David Ornstein's been speaking about Manchester United's summer. He said this last night. He said, Manchester United have got a massive summer ahead. There is going to be a huge amount of change. And I hope that means that we're getting more than the 3 signings that we're hearing about. Fingers crossed. But one player who should hopefully be staying, right? Well, that's the wrong one, actually. Speaking about more changes, Fabrizio saying that United will sign a centre-back. They've explored a Akanji from Dortmund in February. They have a list of names and they will check it together with Ten Hag. Now, Schlotterbeck has been confirmed by Dortmund. He's joining there, I think, from Freiburg. Might be right, might be wrong. That means that Akanji is likely to be leaving Dortmund. Now, Akanji is a centre-back who's been linked with us in the same way that Jurrien Timber's been linked with us. I really want Manchester United to be signing a centre-back. It really is important that we sign a centre-back. Well, in my opinion, it's important that we sign someone like Paul Mitchell, but let's see what goes on there. But I hope, whether it's Akanji, whether it's Timber, I think we do need a centre-back. Shirok is saying, where do I find the podcast? It's on Apple, it's on Spotify, it's on Google, and it's on Amazon. If you just go into all of them, you type United People's Podcast, you should be able to find it, my friend. Ronaldo. We spoke about Ronaldo yesterday. I think Ronaldo's come out and said that he didn't actually say, I'm not finished. But we'll move on from that. And this is what David Ornstein said about Ronaldo leaving. He said, my view is that one of those departures will not be Cristiano Ronaldo. He's still on a contract, and I think that we will see him as part of Ten Hag's new squad. I'm personally not getting strong indications that he is on his way out. So Ornstein here, hopefully, confirming that Ronaldo's staying. I want Ronaldo to stay. Again, if we're looking at short-term changes and long-term changes at Manchester United, in the short term, Ronaldo will be staying. De Gea will definitely be staying. And Rashford will be staying. Maybe in 2 years' time, those three conversations change. But in the short term, I hope Ronaldo stays for next year. I think we need him. I think if we get the right attacking signing to support him, and we get Rashford coming back to form, and we get someone like Pellistri coming through, and we've got genuine options there, and we can play Ronaldo maybe once a week, we're going to see a very, very different Cristiano Ronaldo next year. I mean, he's already been very good this year, but he could be even better if he's managed better. And I think that's something that Erik Ten Hag's really got to get right. Stephen with an absolutely superb comment here saying, everybody drop a like on the video. Look, drop a like on the video, please, my friends. It really does make a difference. I know I do bang it on about it all stream, every stream, but it really does make a difference. It goes to show YouTube or Facebook or Google Podcasts or anything that you do enjoy the content, and it makes a big difference. I tell you what, we're on the verge here, United People's TV, of 250,000 subscribers. I'll leave my DMs open. Everybody, you can fire in your suggestion for what giveaway you think I should do. I'll figure out a really good giveaway that I'll do for the 250,000 mark, because we're nearly there, and that's a big, big milestone. 250,000. Imagine that. That is fucking wicked. So I'll do a nice little giveaway there. But look at this. This is the edit that our Instagram designer did. Look at that bad boy. I want to see that next year. How many goals do you think Ronaldo will score next year, right? You let me know in the comments. How many goals do you think Ronaldo will score under Erik Ten Hag? Because he's what? He's on 24, 23, 24, I think, this year. He's on 18 in the league, obviously. And there's no way... I might actually look at it. I'll put good money on Ronaldo to finish the league on 20 goals this season. But how many goals do you think he'll score next year under Erik Ten Hag? Be interested to know that. Let's go down here and let's find out. Let me see what numbers you're going at. And you're saying 28. Oh, the same is insane. Look at that. Ernesto, feeling a bit drunk this morning. 20, 37, 25 plus easy, at least 25, 25 to 30. Anna's, you're going 30 plus. 25 in the Prem, says Will. In all competitions, 30 at least. Man, everybody's still backing Ronaldo to be Ronaldo. I completely would as well. There's no way that I think Ronaldo is going to... I don't know when that drop-off's going to come. Yes, he has to be played differently now. No, he can't play every single week 90 minutes. He doesn't have that sort of... When you get old, if you're young, enjoy that. I suppose I'm still technically young, but when you get older, your ability to recover, it takes a bit longer. The effects of fitness and athleticism, it takes longer for your body to recover to get to the point where you can do it again. And that's what the fittest people in the world can do. It's like there's people that run fucking marathons. There's that woman who's she got one leg, and I think she's running like 104 marathons consecutively every single bloody day, 104 days in a row. You know how mad that is. A couple of spamming comments down here. I'm sure the mods will deal with that, but please don't spam the comments, peeps. There's no point spamming the comments. It just gets in the way of everybody having a conversation. And as I say, I always try and make this as interactive as possible as a community. If you spam the comments, I can't do that. Nick, you're saying, I'm a bit done with us fans deciding who to keep, buy or sell. Whatever Erik wants or thinks is key. Let him build according to his plan. We're all just fans with an opinion, not professionals. Have some faith. Or maybe just Faith by George Michael. Good song. I wouldn't say that we're deciding, Nick, but I get your point there. I suppose it's just a speculation, isn't it? We're all sitting here. We're all, like, I suppose, tensely excited about what's coming next. And the idea that Ten Hag's going to come in and sell these players and who's going to... The proof's in the pudding, right? And it's the 4th of May now. It's 11 days until the end of the season with Ajax. Fingers crossed they can win that title. And we've got 2 games left. We've got Brighton on Saturday and then Palace like 15 days later. It's ridiculous that there's like a 15 days later. It's stupid. But we're all just excited about what's coming next, aren't we? Because there's so many, and there's still so many more talking points that we need to have. I'm going to do a video. I might do a video today on 10 mistakes that I think that Erik Ten Hag simply has to avoid if he's going to be successful as Manchester United's manager. Going to have an interview on Friday. This is a good one, a little teaser for you, with somebody who's just written a fantastic book on how Ajax has been rebuilt and what Ten Hag has done there. It's going to be a really insightful conversation, the sorts of interviews that I love doing here on United People's TV. But to finish this now, there's a couple more transfer conversations that we're having. This is the BBC, and it's not the first people to run through this, but the BBC are saying that Crystal Palace are moving for Wan Bissaka. Now, this is the point here. It's probably going to be one of those like loan deal with an option to buy, but Wan Bissaka, I think he's done. I won't be anywhere near as harsh with Wan Bissaka as I am with Harry Maguire, and again, that's because he's not our captain. Captains are held to a very different level of accountability, and as they should be. Otherwise, why are they captains, right? But I think he should be leaving. I don't know. My gut is telling me that Wan Bissaka won't leave this summer simply because we've got so much going on. But at the same time, I really just don't see a future for him. I can look at Diogo Dalot and I can see, right, okay, I can see your flaws, I can see your strengths. But I can probably say that he will probably be coached into a better player by Erik Ten Hag. I think there are natural characteristics that he can improve on, that Ten Hag would appreciate. Wan Bissaka simply just isn't progressive enough. Very, very good in a Crystal Palace team where you're defending. Well, actually, no, Leicester under Vieira, to give him credit, they've turned into a more open team. But previously under Roy Hodgson and the likes, Crystal Palace would always like sit deep, defend hard, hit on the counter attack, and that's where Wan Bissaka is very good, and that's why he suited that Solskjaer team, because we were built on counter attacking. But now that we're going on possession and progression, Wan Bissaka's characteristics don't suit that. Simply put, I don't think he'll leave. My gut tells me he won't leave this summer, but hell, the rebuild might be quicker and faster than any of us thought fucking possible. And if I'm choosing one of the fullbacks that we've got, right back, sorry, to keep, I'm going to be choosing Diogo Dalot. Rather Lamptey than AWB, of course, but I don't think we're going to be signing Lamptey. He's only 24. He can be taught how to attack properly in a proper system under Ten Hag. Yes, you can be taught properly, but you do have to have natural instincts. Josh, you say, don't care what anybody says, Wan Bissaka is definitely better than Dalot. We all know, it's pure. When players, like so many players under Jurgen Klopp now, they don't have to think about what they're doing. It's just natural, just pure natural instinct that's been coached to an elite level. Wan Bissaka, for him to become the right back that we want to, he'd have to learn it all. There's not really like there's not a natural attacking tendency in his game. His natural instinct is his tackling, is his one-on-one defending. He can do that sort of with his eyes closed. He doesn't have to be taught about positioning. It's natural. Doesn't have to really be taught about defending. It's natural. Going forward, it's a bit awkward from him, outside of his comfort zone. And I'm sure Erik Ten Hag could coach it into him, but I just don't know whether he's got the right capabilities naturally for that coaching to really make the most of it. That's the point I would put across with Wan Bissaka. And I genuinely think if you were to sell Wan Bissaka 20 to 25 million, maybe, probably is a reasonable price for him. Bring Ethan Laird back off loan from Bournemouth, who's just got promoted. Well done to Ethan. Didn't play that much under Scott Parker. Bit of annoying, actually, because he had a great loan spell at Swansea and then just disappeared. But at least he'll be involved in a promotion party. Ethan Laird at right back alongside Diogo Dalot. I think I'd be pretty happy with that next year. For next year. I think we need more than that. Fullbacks are going to be so crucial to Erik Ten Hag. But somebody who I don't think will be coming in and I don't think should be coming in, it's Declan Rice. Daily Mail there saying West Ham believe they've beaten off interest in their coveted star player Declan Rice and we'll see him lining up in claret and blue. What do you mean beaten off? You just put a ridiculous price tag. It's like putting a 1 million price tag on a Ford Focus and going, we've beaten you off. We've kept our Ford Focus. Of course you have. It's fucking overpriced. No one wants it at that price, even if it's a decent, reliable car. I had a Ford Focus for a while. Good car. Beaten off interest. All they're going to have is a player there. Declan Rice next season, if he stays there at West Ham, is going to be like Ronaldo after we won the double. That year, 2008, 2009, when we got to the Champions League final still, and did he miss a penalty in Rome? I think he missed a penalty in Rome. And he was just, that game disappeared. But Ronaldo that season was never quite the player he was this season before. That's what Declan Rice will be next year for West Ham, in my opinion, if they do just completely price him out of that move. There's no way that anybody's paying 100 to 150 million for a player who plays in that position, man. 80 million for a defender, that's a lot. 100 and 150 million for a fucking defensive midfielder. You are absolutely mad. But well done, West Ham. You're beating everybody off by putting an insane price tag on a player that nobody's going to pay. That's not beating everyone off. That's just forcing yourself into a strange situation. I think personally, it's going to be less happy next year and will force the move the season after. That's what I think anyway. Ant's saying Rice doesn't want to leave London. He said his heart and history is there. Hey, look, you might be going Chelsea, and look, we'll move on. You give me two choices. Who am I going to sign? Declan Rice for 100, 150 million, or I want to sign De Jong and Tchouaméni for the same price? No brainer. This is where United have to be smart. It's not all about the big names. It's about what United need. Now, I don't think we're actually going to get De Jong and Tchouaméni. That quite literally, that's your football manager. That's your dream team. Your dream team ball winner, breaker-upper player, Tchouaméni, and your playmaker from deep in De Jong. That would be quite literally perfect. I don't think it's going to happen, of course. Paul, you're saying Garner would be a better option than Rice and put the money with somewhere else. I wouldn't say, he wouldn't be. Rice would definitely be a better option than Garner, but Garner coming back into the squad will definitely boost and bolster our midfield options. Jibak, wonder why Rice signed a contract till 26. West Ham had the final say on him for a ridiculously long time. Nobody signs those super long deals these days. Remember when we gave David Moyes a 6-year contract? That was horrendous. My gut tells me Rice will stay at West Ham for another year and probably go to Chelsea the year after for in the region of 70 to 90 million. Thereabouts. That's what I think anyway. Unless Rice gets a major injury next year. And fingers crossed he doesn't. But I'm fine with us not going after Rice. It's about time we went smart and got the players that we needed this summer. Look, last few minutes of every show, you know what I do. You fire in your questions. Anything that you think I haven't answered, anything you'd like me to answer, you let me know in the comments and I'll put it in here one more time. There was a good comment here earlier, by the way, that someone said, Sam, can you put a QR code on the screen that can take you to this? I'll try and get that sorted today and I'll try and get it added to the bottom right down there tomorrow where that subscribe button is. Replace that with a QR code for the podcast. I think that's a very good idea. Thank you very much for that. But look, anybody who hasn't already, please, would you go over there and leave a 5-star rating on the podcast? There's the link on Apple. I'll add the Google link in there as well. I think it's now on Google Podcast. It'll make a big difference. And I'm giving away one of these. Stand Chow. It's 50 quid, that poster. Really nice. A2. Big, wicked Erik Ten Hag poster. You can win it. All you've got to do to win it is just leave a review on the podcast on Apple. It'll make the world of difference to me. And hopefully you can win it. I'll choose a winner this time next week. Stefan saying, any news on Paul Mitchell? At this moment in time, it's all quiet on the Western Front. Now, bear in mind that David Ornstein said, I think it was about 3 weeks ago now, that we would be hearing something on our deputy director. Nothing's really happened there. Obviously, Matt Judge has gone since, so maybe that was going to get sorted before it happened. But we need something now. I would hope that something in the next week, we hear something when it comes to either Paul Mitchell or somebody else. Let me go down here and see what you... can we do a 250k special? Something out of the box, maybe? That's a good idea. Maybe we'll do that one. There was a show I promised in the build-up to Christmas where we were just going to get drunk together. And I can never do it because I got COVID. Maybe we'll do that for the 250k. I'll try and think of something special. I'll think of a really good giveaway. And I'll think of a good show. And we can do both of those. Going straight there after this. There you go, my friend. Sushruth, you might be new here to United People's TV. One thing you'll never get me doing is a watch-along. I disagree with them. I don't think it's good. If I want to watch the match, I want to watch the match. You should just watch the match. It's not about watching someone else watch the match. It's a weird thing. I've never really agreed with them. I know there's a whole Goldbridge army that supports it. He's cool. He's an entertainer. He's got his sphere. Last night, you're there doing a watch-along on Liverpool. Why are you watching a Liverpool game? You're supposed to be a United fan. Who am I to judge? You go and do what you want. I won't be doing them. But I love doing these live morning shows that we do here in the mornings. But thank you very much, everybody, for joining in. I haven't mentioned it. The new podcast episode is live. Thank you very much, anybody who has left a review and anybody who will leave a review. I will be back with another video at lunchtime, as I always am. I've seen everybody comment that you want a PS. I want a fucking PS5. I haven't got one. But look. Oh, look at that. Sam, what about a green and gold Cantona shirt and that Bob Marley shirt? Ooh, that could be tasty. That could be very tasty. But look, thank you very much, everybody, for joining in. As always, I love the interaction every single morning. I'll be back later on today. Make sure you drop a like on the video if you're new. I'll see you soon.